It's just going to be some wrestling thoughts. And first off, let me get on to a little early look at the WWE No Mercy pay-per-view that's going to be happening on October 5th. And definitely, card-wise, it's starting to shape up to look like it's going to be a pretty good overall pay-per-view. You have two very good world title matches, definitely one incredible one probably that's going to happen with Chris Jericho versus Shawn Michaels in a ladder match stipulation, and that should be a fucking incredible match. This is the first time since Armageddon 2002 that Shawn Michaels has been involved in a ladder match, and that was a 3 stages of hell match. So technically, the last time it's actually just been a ladder match, no 2 out of 3 falls match, is him and Razor Ramon from I think SummerSlam 1995. I think that's the last time that Shawn Michaels has been in a one-on-one ladder match, that just a ladder match. No 2 out of 3 falls matches. So this should be an incredible match. Anyone doubting this isn't going to be an incredible match, I don't know what you're thinking. This is one match that I think, even if you aren't the hugest fan of WWE, that I think you would even want to see real bad. It looks like it's probably going to be a good match. As far as Raw this Monday, Raw got a 2.6 in the ratings, which was mainly due to the fact of the Dallas Cowboys versus Philadelphia Eagles game that they were going up against on ESPN, which was an incredible game. I was switching back and forth between Raw, the NFL game, and I was watching a little of a Dragon Gate event that I got. I think it was Dead or Alive. I was watching a Doi and Kenta match, so saw little bits and pieces of Raw. I did have it on tape, so I went back and watched it. With that rating, WWE's not going to really, go too far and think that it was bad, because they were pitted against, a very big NFL game that everyone was looking forward to seeing. That was, at this point, I'm not sure of all time, but definitely as far as the NFL games and Monday Night Football, as far as on cable network television, this is the highest rated football game or telecast, I think maybe in recent history or maybe all time, because it got a 13.4 share with about 18 to 19 million viewers, which was just incredible for a Monday Night Football game. Then we got, for the SmackDown heavyweight title, the WWE title, we got Triple H versus Jeff Hardy, which should be an incredible match. These two have had very good matches before. The outcome of this is probably going to be the thing that some people aren't going to like, because I expect Triple H to retain the title. I don't see Jeff Hardy getting the title. And speaking of Jeff Hardy, let me get into a news topic about Jeff Hardy. This past Wednesday at a Nashville, Tennessee, at a airport, he got detained and was not permitted to get on a plane due to him being intoxicated. And this is not a good sign for Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy is probably about to fuck up something good that he has. He only has one last strike. That's if WWE follows with it, because I feel that, this whole one last strike thing, if the guy makes money for you and he's over, I think WWE's going to look over that. I guess we'll have to see if, something happens with Jeff Hardy here. WWE's only statement from this at this point is we'll look further into this and then decide what we're going to do. So, really, I'm not a hugest Jeff Hardy fan. I'm more of a Matt Hardy fan. I do respect what he does in the ring, but his stuff outside the ring, he just keeps completely fucking his career up. If you are a booker of an organization, would you trust Jeff Hardy as a World Heavyweight Champion? There's some people I've talked to, some of my friends that said, okay, maybe I don't really trust him, but let's just, since he's highly over, have him hold the world title, and then say if something happens where he has to get suspended, has to get taken off TV, just have him on TV that one last night, and have him drop the WWE title, much on the lines that he dropped the IC title to Chris Jericho back in March. But really, something like that I don't think is going to be a good thing to do, because it's basically going to look like, okay, Jeff Hardy's fucked up this many times, and we're going to reward him by giving him the world title, which I feel Jeff Hardy should have been given Matt Hardy's spot, and Matt Hardy should have been given Jeff Hardy's spot and been on SmackDown. Jeff Hardy is the more over of the two, which I'm not going to lie about, but as far as wrestling standpoint and promo standpoints, I think Matt Hardy has it a little better than Jeff Hardy, but should be a good match. But after this whole incident at Nashville, Tennessee airport, pretty much that's giving almost 100% definite that that Triple H is going to retain the title, which I think everyone was expecting anyway. If Jeff Hardy does get the title at some point, it's going to be at a bigger pay-per-view, something like Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, or possibly even WrestleMania. That's if WWE is willing to take the risk. I don't really think it's worth taking the risk. Jeff Hardy is highly over. But God, that is a nightmare. If I was Vince McMahon or any booker that Jeff Hardy works for and giving him a world title, that'd just be a nightmare. I'd be worried what he would do every second as world champion. As far as Bound for Glory is shaping up to not look like that good of a pay-per-view. This is supposed to be TNA's biggest pay-per-view of the year, and they're not really throwing anything out that makes me say, I got to buy this pay-per-view, I got to see it. Samoa Joe versus Sting, I feel it's going to be a good match, but no one wants to see Sting in the main event again, and hopefully TNA does the right thing and has Samoa Joe go over, because, God, why would they put Sting over again? Unless if they did something where AJ will beat him a month later, but it still would be pointless, because Samoa Joe's title run, even though he's had it at this point going into Bound for Glory 6 months, what has he done in this 6 months as world champion? I mean, his title reign has almost been worse than, I would say, CM Punk's title run. Just he's felt maybe a little more dominant in some matches, but, he's not really done anything as world champion. They really have not booked him against anyone that, would create great matches, and this whole Booker T and his feud was, pointless and terrible from the beginning. Other stuff that looked like from last night on Impact, I didn't catch all of it, but I saw a little of it. And it looks like they might be building to a AJ Styles versus Christian Cage match, which should be an incredible match. The bad thing is, this is a match that should have happened a long time ago. They kind of blew the whole thing with them two taking on each other and their feud, which should have happened after AJ Styles sided with Kurt Angle, left Christian Cage's coalition, and they didn't follow up with it, which was the dumbest thing that they did. Then we got the Terror Dome, or should I say the Steel Asylum is going to be returning, which most likely will see the debut of Kaz's new gimmick, which is Suicide. And I'm really interested to see what this gimmick's going to be. Hopefully it's nothing too idiotic, which I have a feeling it might be. Then as far as Mick Foley, instead of seeing the match I would love to see at Bound for Glory, which was Abyss versus Mick Foley, a.k.a. Cactus Jack, we get Mick Foley versus Kurt Angle, which I don't think is going to be a terrible match, but it's a match. Why the fuck are they doing it? It doesn't make any sense. At least the way they did it at the Surrender pay-per-view, it would have made sense having a Jeff Jarrett versus Kurt Angle match, but they're doing some type of angle where Jarrett's saying, I'm not ready to come back to the ring quite yet, but this is shaping up not to look like a good pay-per-view. Then on to some other things is the Jake the Snake Roberts incident that happened at the Firestorm Pro Wrestling event this past Saturday, and this involved an incident where he came out to the ring. He was highly intoxicated. Within this incident, you got to blame both of them. You got to blame Jake the Snake Roberts coming to an event like this. It's not the first time, but on the other hand, you kind of got to blame the promoter that booked him, because unless you thought you were going to gain notoriety because you knew Jake Roberts was going to come to the event and probably be completely fucked out of his mind, which he was, and gain notoriety and gain attention from it. But I don't know why you would want to book Jake the Snake Roberts, because he's done this countless times at independent shows. But this doesn't surprise me. It happened. Definitely, sad that Jake the Snake Roberts is a shell of the man he once was. Definitely a great mind for the wrestling business. He was great on the mic. Definitely, kind of sad to see it. But not the first time I've seen Jake the Snake Roberts in this type of condition. Now on to some other news topic that's pretty big is that Kurt Angle's wife, Karen Angle, has filed for divorce for him, which anyone that has seen the Kurt Angle RF video shoot interview that he recently did and they recently came out with are probably not shocked to hear about this, because in that interview he did discuss that him and his wife, Karen Angle, had problems with their marriage before, and they've gotten separated before in the past. But I think this is the first time that it's actually gone to the level of either one filing for divorce. And it's going to be interesting to see where this goes, because obviously Karen Angle has made herself into an on-screen character in TNA. Well, the one thing they have done to kind of make it less awkward for them to work with each other, or at least be in the same place, is the whole angle with Kurt Angle versus Karen Angle, the whole divorce feud that they got, the angle they were going with, they completely dropped that angle just to make them not feel awkward being there. But probably Karen Angle will still do the Karen's Angle segment or something along the lines of that, or manage some type of wrestler. But it's going to be a kind of awkward probably. But it sounds like as far as them two, sounds like even though they're getting divorced, unlike the Hogan and Linda divorce, it sounds like these two are actually still friends and are still getting along. They just due to Kurt Angle's problems he had and still having as far as his neck issues, going out there trying to perform to a higher level than what he should, and it's really injuring himself, and at this point probably should take a little break from wrestling. But Kurt Angle has such a big drive and that he will not do that.